إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. I bear witness there's no one worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the last and final messenger. There be no messengers after him, and we send our blessings and salutations upon Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala ajma'een. Wallahi, my brothers and sisters, if it wasn't for the Sahaba, me and you wouldn't have enjoyed this religion as we do today. Really want to thank all of you that you've been part of this blessed journey, a journey for myself. And if I had no listeners, I'd be talking to myself, and I think I do that every day in front of the mirror. But having you guys is really helpful to my sanity as well. So having said that, we mentioned some really big names last week. There were some Persian names which I even find hard to remember, but I will still ask those names. Hopefully you guys have memorized them because you have a sharper memory than me. We don't have any snakes. We have human beings, so we can give out human beings today. So if you need any, we've got snakes. But if you need someone to mow your lawns or whatever, then we've got those kind of services available today on every question. So don't take it very seriously. That was just on a lighter note. So if you remember the general which was sent by Qisra, and he was sent with, how many prisoners did Qisra send to Yemen? And they were with this leader of Yemen, and if you probably remember his name as well. So if you can give me the name of the leader of the Yemen who goes to Qisra, and also the general who comes back with him, and how many people came back with him? Yes?
How many prisoners?
Yeah.
1,000?
Close.
What?
Yes. Sorry? Safe is the, I thought you were telling me how many prisoners came back. I'm like, I know accounting in Arabic, I know counting in English, and I'm counting my own language, and there is no word or no number that starts with safe. So I just got confused there. So yeah, the name of the king of Yemen, the descendant of Yemen was Saif. What was his full name? Ibn Yazid. That's right. That was his full name. And also, what was the name of the general and how many prisoners came? Yes?
500 prisoners?
Close. It was actually more than 500 and less than 1,000.
750?
800. That's right. 800 prisoners actually came with. And who was the general of that army? Starts with a W. Wow. It's a Persian name. It's a very hard name. Maybe if anyone's from Khurasan over here, for them it might be an easy name, but for the Arabs and the Ajam as well, it's a hard name. Wuhruz. So his name was Wuhruz. The general who came, his name was Wuhruz. And who did he meet in Iraq, in Hira? There was another king over there who was actually from his own tribe. MashaAllah, you know, So anyways, let's get into the seerah. We'll go back to the questions again. So now, you need to know the family of Rasulullah. So I'm going to give you the whole name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you have to go with me, and you have to remember everyone in it. So we are going to go into the middle grandfather of Rasulullah today, but his name is Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim ibn Abd Manaf ibn Qusay Ibn Kilab ibn Murrah ibn Lu'ay ibn Ghalib ibn Fihr ibn Malik ibn Nadr ibn Kinana. So that's the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so I'll do it again, inshallah. So I'll do it this time, I'll do it very slowly. Okay, so Muhammad, son of Abdullah, and son of Abdul Muttalib, and son of Hashim, and son of Abdul Manaf, and son of Qusay. So today we are going to start from Qusay. Alright? And son of Kilab, and son of Murrah, and son of Lu'ay, and son of Ghalib, and son of Fihr. So this name, remember this name, Fihr. This is where Quraysh comes from. So this is the man who started, or Quraysh, the descendants of Quraysh actually started from this man. And this man was a trader. He used to trade in milk and he would go to Sham. And that's why today we're also going to learn Surah Quraysh, which is probably taught in this class over here. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually mentions the favor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does for them. لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشِ إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually talks about the favors that Allah did on Quraysh in this surah. And then you have Malik, the son of Malik, and then you have the son of Nadr. Some people say Nadr is the actual lineage of Quraysh. But actually, according to Ibn Ishaq and Ibn Hisham and other scholars of Sirah, they say Fihr is actually the start of Quraysh. And then you have Kinana. Kinana is now going back to Ismail alayhi salam. Also, there are lineages which you can actually track back to Adnan and all the way going back to Muhammad Ismail alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam. So that's how Quraysh is, the lineage is related to that. So I'm going to come back to this for many snakes, if you can remember the name, up to Kinana. Alright, for many snakes. So we're going to do it again very quickly. Muhammad, Abdullah, Abdul Muttalib. Actually, for three snakes, who can tell me the real name of Abdul Muttalib? And today in the story I'll tell you why his name was Abdul Muttalib. His name was not Abdul Muttalib. His name was something else. Yes?
Abdullah?
No, his name was, he actually had white hair. In Arabs, if you have white hair, you have a particular name you give to them. You say him by, it starts with Sheen. Say Shayba. Who said that? Yeah, so basically Abdul Muttalib was Shayba, and he was given this name by his father Hashim. And when he was born, he had white hair. And so his actual name, some of you probably heard it for the first time. His name was not Abdul Muttalib. And today we're going to find out why his name was not, well, why his name became Abdul Muttalib. His uncle was Muttalib, Al-Muttalib, the brother of Hashim. And so how his name came today, inshallah we'll talk about that as well. Now very quickly, the Arabs, as you know, we started from Hajar and Ismail, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed these two people, and the lineage of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam started from here. Prior to that, the lineage of Arabs, as we said, these were the Arabized Arabs. These were the third forms of Arabs who actually learned the language. And they were taught the language by Jurhum. So if you remember, Jurhum was the tribe who was the leaders. And after Amr ibn Luhay from Khuza'a, when Khuza'a came and they took over Mecca, and after that the kingdom went to Khuza'a, and what did Jurhum do? Because Jurhum was very angry, because this kingdom was taken by force. And they were deceived, and Khuza'a came and took it by force. So what they did, they buried the well. So they buried the well of Zamzam. So if I was to give you an analogy in today's time, where we sit down today, and in this world there are a couple of countries I can think of which were taken by force, where people invited a certain group of people in their country, gave them places to live, and eventually they were taken by force. And one of them, as you all know, is Palestine, which was taken by force. And if I was to think of another analogy in today's time, thank you for giving my eyes. May Allah give you eyes as well. Ameen. So, if you guys don't know, he's my neighbor. I forgot my glasses. If you've got 4 children, and if you turn up to masjid with clothes, you're lucky enough. So alhamdulillah, I'm wearing clothes, but I didn't have my glasses. So So it does happen if you've got 4 children and someone says, how have you got hair on your head? I say this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't know how I do have it. So, but if they are young and if you're sane and if you're alive, then you are lucky. This is ni'mah from Allah. So always thank Allah for that. But when they grow up, then you've got other worries with them. So now, sorry, I've just deviated. The other country, if you could think of, is Kashmir. As you all know at the moment, what is happening to them, how the articles dissipated by this government, and when they chose to be part of that. So whenever people and their land has been taken by some other people, it is not really welcome. So they always had this in their heart, that they always wanted to get their land back from Khuza'ah. So in Jurhum, there was this man, Qusay Ibn Kilab, and this is the great-great-grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At least if you can remember Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's name all the way to Qusay, and Kilab, you can even remember that. That's the father of Qusay. So Qusay was actually, his name was not Qusay, his name was Zayd. So Zayd was actually taken into, he was from the tribe of Quraysh, but his mother was married to someone and they migrated to Syria. And when he migrated to Syria, he knew, when he grew up, he learned about his family, that they live in Mecca and they're honorable family. So Jurhum, they belong to a tribe of Ismail. So when he grew, and so if you know the Arabic language, Qusay comes from the word Qasi. Well, Qasi huwa al-ba'id, so someone who's far away. And so that's why his name became Qusay. His name was actually not Qusay, his name is Zayd. And so when he came back, he was known by his own tribe as Qusay. He was a very generous man. He was a very honorable man, a very well-respected man. He was so respected that the tribe of Khuza'ah, the leader, actually married his daughter to Qusay, and they also loved him. So when he married the leader's daughter, he was loved by Khuza'ah as well. And eventually, when the leader died, Qusay thought that this was the opportunity to now get the land back, get Mecca back from Khuza'ah. And he gathered his family, and his family was scattered, so he knew who was Qurayshi, whoever was the brothers and the uncles, and they all gathered, and they said to Khuza'ah that this is our land, and being the son-in-law of the leader, I want my land back. And so a big fight erupted between these two groups, and they fought, and many people started dying. And this battle was so fierce that if they kept on going with this battle, they would have killed each other. And there would have been no one left from each other's family. So they decided at that point in time that they will go to a man called Ya'mur ibn Auf. Ya'mur ibn Auf was an old man, very well respected. And they said, we will take our pledge to Ya'mur ibn Auf. And if Ya'mur ibn Auf agrees to whoever side he takes, then we pledge on the Kaaba. So they all went and they pledged on the Kaaba that they will agree to whatever he said. So Ya'mur ibn Auf asked both the tribes to come forward and tell their stories, and who will deserve the land, he will make that decision after hearing both sides. And this man was a very just man. So remember, Arabs would fight for their honor. Honor was one of the biggest thing for them. They went on a war to fight was because of Kaaba. The honor they got from the Kaaba, from the Hujjaj when they came. So we will learn today that how many wars, they would just fight for the honor. For them, money was not a big deal. For them, all these families and all these worldly things was not a big deal. For them, honor was very big. So for them, Izzah was something. So if they're honored, they're the ones who are well known, they're the custodian of Kaaba, that is something very big for them. So that's why, if you know, as I said, the fight actually started because of Kaaba. Who is going to be the custodian of Kaaba? When they go to Ya'mur ibn Auf, Qusay Ibn Kilab, he comes forward and he puts his case forward. He says, I am the son of Ismail, and this water in this land that came, Zamzam, which is not here anymore, it came because of my father. He says it was my father's father who built the Kaaba that we have today. And he put his case forward. And after listening to him, Ya'mur ibn Auf called Khuza'a. Khuza'a had nothing. You know, Khuza'a was the one who actually came, they took over, they're the ones who actually brought idol worship to the land. And so they had nothing. They had no case to present forward. And so Ya'mur ibn Auf did the judgment in the side of Qusay Ibn Kilab, and he said, Qusay is the one who is the owner of this custodian of Kaaba and the rightful owner of this place, and everything will go back to Qusay. Everything. And now remember, these Arabs were also very big on honor and pledge. So they've already made pledge. And so they are not going to fight anymore. So Khuza'a gives his right away, straight away. So see, there are 4 things you need to understand that Kaaba was very famous for. And the honor came from these 4 things. The first thing was Ijaba. That was a custodian of the Kaaba. So whoever had this. So if you had the Ijaba. So Qusay ibn Kilab actually got all these 4 things, and he would become the leader, undisputed leader, and he would have the rights to everything. And the other thing was as-siqa. So this was to give water to the Hujjaj, and they considered this to be a great honor, because people coming to the house of Allah was a guest of Allah, and they considered it to be the guest of their guests. So if they serve the guest of Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will serve them. And then came, was Ar-Rifada. Ar-Rifada actually means to give, but basically what it meant over here was to give food, and they would give food. And if you guys have been in Saudi, they've got this dish, and this is what they would give. In water, it's like a stew kind of a thing. They put meat in water and they stir it. And for the Pakistanis, it's a halim. And for the Arabs in Saudi, it's a haris. So if you guys have had that dish, if you know what I'm talking about. And also, they also have a like of that in Iraq as well, which is tashriba. Tashriba has some wet bread in it, water in it. So if you guys have had that, and so, yeah, sure, but this is what they used to give. And so, and then they had al-liwa. Al-liwa was basically the banner. And this was the banner. Whoever had this status of al-liwa was the one who could call for the war and was the one who could call the decisions for that. So these were the 4 things. So Qusay, when he came into power, he became more generous. And he became more loved by people. And now people started loving him a lot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him 4 children. One is the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's Abd Manaf. Allah gave him Abd al-Shams. Allah gave him Abd al-Dar. And Allah gave him Abd Qusay. So he named all of them were with Abd. If you know the Arabic language, Abd is used as slave. So they used to have these names. So everyone had Abd in it. And having said that, Qusay Ibn Kilab was so powerful, he decided to make a place for Quraysh, and that was Darul Nadwa. And Darul Nadwa was like a big, massive hall. So if you guys, and I want to give you a peek into the Seerah of Rasulullah now, and as I said, we're going to go back and forth. Darul Nadwa is where they would make these major decisions. And Darul Nadwa is the same place where all the Qurayshis gathered and they plotted to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that night. And so this is Darul Nadwa. Every major decision took place in Darul Nadwa. One of and the marriages would take place. If you wanted to call it, you can call it, it's a massive hall. And then also they had a ceremony when the girls became mature and they could leave the houses and they had to cover themselves and wear longer dresses. Before they would do that, they would have a ceremony in Darul Nadwa for those girls. So Darul Nadwa was actually made by Qusay Ibn Kilab. And as I said, he was really well known. He was well loved by his own people. So basically, Qusay Ibn Kilab, all his sons were also well loved. They were all generous, they were really popular, everyone loved them. They carried out the duties of the father, they looked after the hujjaj, they gave the water, they fed and they changed the qiswa as well. All the powers came in the hands of Qusay and his sons. There was one son who was not very well loved, and that son was Abdul Dar. And he was not very popular. And Qusay knew this, he was getting old. And Qusay knew if he would ignore Abdul Dar, then Abdul Dar would actually be deserted by his brother and even by the people. So what Qusay did, when he was about to die, he gave all the rights to Abdul Dar. Because he knew his other children were already popular, and for them to gain respect and to be loved by the people was very easy. But for Abdul Dar, no one actually really loved him. And for him to be loved, he had to be the leader so that people love him. So after Qusay died, all the children, no one retaliated. They agreed with the father and they took the decision of the father, and they were happy with father giving the right to Abdul Dar. And when Abdul Dar did his thing and he became popular, he was known by got to know by the people. And when he died, now the sons of Qusay came to the children of Abdul Dar and they explained to him that our father only gave the power to your father so he could be well known. And the wish of the father is fulfilled now. So we need the rights back. And now at this point, there was a big battle which was right about to erupt. And what was that? Where the